Thanks everyone for joining us for this special webinar for the Virginia PTA. Safe and Healthy Schools, 1% Direct and Local Investment. Some of you have heard a little bit about the 1% sales tax referendums that localities are considering. And we wanted to talk a little bit more about that and how it fits into our PTA mission. We want to ground this in something that's very real to where you are right now with your school as you're ramping up in this back to school season. Just considering everything that's out there, what would you want for your school if your district received money for school improvements? Would it be something like a new HVAC, some more technology, arts and instructional spaces that are built for your actual student body, or just general new construction? Just take a minute to think about that. Because the mission of PTA is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. So you really want to think about where you want to go. Where do you see your kids in your school, your teachers in your school, having the most thriving school experience of all? The purpose of today's training is really we're going to take you through an overview of this 1% sales tax that you may have been hearing about. And then we're going to understand how our advocacy fits into that and what your role is as a driving force to make sure that we have safe and healthy schools. We're going to give you kind of an example campaign if this is something that you want to continue with further in your community. We'll give you a practical approach for your locality, so something really tangible that you can do. And we're going to talk about some other tools that you can use.
All right, thanks everybody. We're really excited about this 1% for schools issue, and we want to make sure that you guys have the context and understanding of what it is exactly, right? Because there's a lot of confusion. This is new for all of us. So to start out, safe and healthy schools has been a long-standing priority and mission of the PTA. There's nothing new here. We have advocated for this for decades and decades, both locally at the state level and nationally. We know that over the last 90 to 100 years, the responsibility for school funding has shifted. 100 years ago, 90 years ago, almost half of school construction funding came from the federal government. Now it is a local expense. That's who's responsible for these buildings. Your buildings are owned locally by your city or your county. They are responsible for new construction if it's needed to support growth, replacing aging buildings, keeping up with infrastructure for those same buildings, all right? We have an opportunity here to potentially add 1% to your local sales tax, and that money would be earmarked for new construction and major maintenance improvements, improvements to your building. That money would be a steady funding source for the next 20 years. That's how long the authorization lasts. It can't be used for other purposes. It can't be used for teacher pay or salaries of any kind. It has to go towards new construction and maintenance. And it would give them a steady source of income that is much needed in a lot of districts. It could also save money over the life. Yes, it's going to bring in a lot of money, but as we all know, when you get a new furnace or you upgrade systems in your own house, usually the new ones are more efficient, right? So we save money by putting money into preventative maintenance rather than just fixing breaks as they occur, putting more efficient systems in. And this is also a really unique opportunity, not to be hyperbolic, but it's literally the first time in all of our lifetimes that we've had the opportunity to do something like this, to influx money into our school districts through this sales tax. So before, the state had only given permission for a handful of localities to do this. They were mostly in very rural parts of the state, very small tax bases, didn't have a lot of homes and housing units to generate sales tax for their schools. And so they were given permission several years ago. It's been a big windfall for them. And over the summer, this is the first time that the state has granted permissions for cities and counties to put this referendum on the ballot for each locality. And we only have a 2-year window. So this authorization has been granted for 2 years. We don't know what will happen at the end of those 2 years, but we're looking at it from the standpoint of we have 2 years to potentially pass this in localities. Okay, so why do we need this? We talked about it a little bit, but right now, Virginia, like local school construction is It's a local expense. Virginia, as a state, pays about 10% of school construction costs. They mostly do this providing some low interest financing options. They do provide some grants, but it's a very small percentage. They pay about 10% of school construction costs across the Commonwealth. The national average is 22% for state funding. So we're well below that. Federal funds pay for less than 1% of school construction. It's estimated in Virginia that half of our school buildings are at least 50 years old, and that upwards of 20% of them are not ADA compliant, which is a big issue. Localities, in many cases, have just failed to meet the responsibility of school construction and maintenance. And it may not be because they don't want to, it just costs a lot of money. It's extremely expensive. They have other things to fund. They have chosen not to, or they haven't been able to fully do this. And so this would be a very exciting source of revenue for them that they could not appropriate somewhere else. It would have to go towards school construction and maintenance. Some of you may not have this on the ballot yet. We think there's somewhere around 40 localities in the Commonwealth that are choosing to do this November. If your locality hasn't yet, that doesn't mean you should ignore it. It's a good conversation to have with your school leaders and with the leaders of your county or your city. Is this something that they're planning to wait until next year to put on the ballot? Are they not planning to do it at all? This is a great conversation to have, whether you know it's on the ballot this November, or even if it's not, for you to ask about what their plans are around this opportunity. So just to summarize, this goes into our longstanding goal, our priorities around having safe, healthy, modern school buildings. The federal and state funding is not coming to save us. This is going to have to be a locally sourced funding. It guarantees this line of investment for our school years for a 20-year period. And we really think that we can save millions of dollars in addition to improving our schools, but creating lasting savings around preventative maintenance and more efficient systems. So what could this mean for your school? Obviously, new construction is the thing everybody likes to talk about, right? Your board of supervisors or your mayor or your school board loves to stand in front of a red ribbon with a big pair of scissors when there's a new building being opening. We all see that, right? The not very fun stuff to stand in front of is when there's a multi-million-dollar new HVAC system on your roof, but it is equally as important. HVAC, aging infrastructure, not only contributes towards a comfortable building, but it is a health and safety issue, right? We've all seen issues when, we don't maintain these things. There's mold growing, there's, other bacteria growing in our HVAC systems. These aren't sexy things to stand in front of, but they're really important to what we do. We know that we can improve accessibility and safety for our buildings. And then there's the trickle down effect, right? We need those basic things to have a safe building. But then if we had a steady funding stream, could we also address the things like having more modern and up-to-date desks and chairs for our students? Could we have better arts facilities? Could we have a more modern athletic space for our students? Those are all things that we could get to that right now feel like really aspirational dreams that we just can't think about because we're so busy focused on the things that we just absolutely have to do to maintain the building. Again, these buildings belong to your counties and your cities. So this has an impact, yes, on all of our students, all of our teachers and staff on a daily basis, but these buildings are used continuously through the year, day and night, by outside groups, by community groups. So everybody benefits from this as a whole. I am going to turn it over to Ben to give an example of this One for Schools campaign that Chesterfield has launched since it's on the ballot here in Chesterfield in November.
Thank you, Lauren. Excellent. So in the interest of full disclosure, both Lauren and I are from and live in Chesterfield. So we are well placed to help Chesterfield County Council and the PTAs within Chesterfield to support this campaign to get this 1% investment in our schools passed. Chesterfield, it's estimated, will get an additional $70 million. This is, if you're any kind of advocate, this is an incredible amount of money. There's years that Lauren and I have fought to try to get an extra $5 million or $10 million on $1 billion budget. $70 million annually would be an incredible amount of money and allow Chesterfield to do things that they should have done 20 years ago in terms of repair and maintenance. And just to quickly give you a couple of examples of what happens when you don't do that, we're right next to the city of Richmond. Just this week's first week of school, Barack Obama Elementary School closed for business because of a mold infestation. Just in the last couple of years, we've had a school, elementary school, Fox Elementary in Richmond, burned down. We had an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease, which is a deadly form of pneumonia in the cooling towers that serve our families and students in Chesterfield. There are real issues when you don't do maintenance. And the beauty of this is that at one point in time, our citizens can come together and say, it is time that we do the things we need to do to preserve the structures we have, to make sure we have safe drinking water, to make sure our schools are safe and healthy for our children and our families. So what we're looking at is we're looking at a major shift. So traditionally, schools will go out and have a bond referendum and vote on an amount of money to try to build schools or do construction work. And that takes time, and it takes votes, and it takes a long time to get the money, and then you're paying debt service on the money. This is a real-time investment. So as we collect sales taxes, we can literally transfer them directly to school construction, school maintenance. So it's a real-time, instantaneous way to build money. It's a shared investment. So everyone who pays sales tax invests in this revenue stream. The beauty being, if you're a county that has people coming in and out of your county to do shopping, to do other things, they will be spending money. So just as one example, specifically in Chesterfield, it's estimated that 30% of our sales tax comes from people who live outside of Chesterfield. So those very good people, that 30% of purchases being made are people who are coming to Chesterfield and giving the citizens of Chesterfield a 70% discount, a 30% discount on school construction and maintenance. Finally, and this is what we really love about this means that funds cannot be diverted. No new political figure can come into place and say, we're not going to fund maintenance, we're going to cut funding for HVAC or plumbing. The revenue stream is fixed. We get this revenue stream, as Lauren points out. We have not been able to use federal, state, or local dollars in Chesterfield and other localities to do this funding, to do this maintenance work. But now we'll have a 100% guaranteed line of funding to cover these costs. All right, so now building our Chesterfield example, how do we do this? You're going to be in one of two positions watching this video. You will either be in the position that we are in Chesterfield or Richmond or Powhatan or other localities that already have this on the ballot. So if you're in that 40-some locality group, this is on the ballot. So this is real. It's today. You should start your advocating yesterday. If not yesterday, then today. And the PTA
I'll say,
supports.
Ben, early voting starts September 15th.
100% correct. So we have less than a month before people start putting things in the ballot box. And I can tell you from experience, I'm talking to Lauren, just talked to her school community, faculty and staff really didn't know what this 1% was about. We've got other reports from other PTA presidents who brought this up, and also people are largely not knowledgeable of this at all. So we have two real jobs. One is to educate people this exists, and number two, to let them know the PTA is for this. The PTA supports this. We'll have a link to the resolution. We've adopted a position statement, the Virginia PTA, saying directly and specifically we support this 1% to go towards school construction. We also have a sample resolution. Just last night, I was at my high school where I'm PTA president. We just passed that resolution for my high school, which covers 14 localities. You can have that resolution in your school and certainly vote on that to get your PTA focused. You can also advocate for this without that because the Virginia PTA already has a position. So up to you. Highly recommend a resolution, but you're still covered to say the PTA supports the 1%. Either way, super important here is that part of being a PTA is collaboration. So in Chesterfield, for example, the group that is helping to the greatest degree is actually the county government. Our county government happens to be a divided Democratic Republican board. However, every single supervisor voted for this because every single supervisor knows we need this. And so the county cannot take a statement to say vote yes, but they've been very, very helpful in producing literature and information on the general what would this mean for our county. So the stuff that they're putting out, if you didn't know they couldn't say yes, it would look like they're supporting it. They're telling people like this will mean we can actually fix the things that need to be fixed. We will no longer respond to problems after they occur. We won't have to close schools down for mold remediation or other problems that throw kids and family plans into cahoots because you got who's going to babysit your kid on Monday when your school gets closed down. I don't know. And so it really, the county has done an excellent job of providing information. Our school district, of course, the school districts also know we need this investment. So the school districts also can't say vote yes, but they can provide information. Our school district is allowing the PTA to, of course, have a platform within the schools. And as a school president, for example, Lauren has gone to her faculty and staff and said, hey, this 1% exists. She's gone to the sports boosters. She's gone to the other boosters and say, hey, this exists. This is going to help all of us. And that community has really rallied around that sentiment. So as a president, you have a tremendous amount of power. Every time you get in front of parents over the next month, you should be driving this home, how important this is to making sure your school has working air conditioning, your school gets painted maybe for the first time in 20 years. Your school playgrounds, if you have an elementary school, is attended to. All these things can happen. The reason we're excited about it is some of us have been working. Lauren and I have been working, I know, for in Chesterfield for 15 years, trying to get some of these most basic things, trying to get 1% of this done. But now we have the opportunity to have all of this done over the next few years within our lifetimes. So we're very excited about that. You want to collaborate effectively, talk to your city or county and find out what they're doing, what kind of literature they have, what they can share. Our Chesterfield is printing lit for us almost every day. We're distributing that at schools. We have a series of community meetings. We'll bring those there. The key point is to get people to understand what this is. There's a lot of misinformation. If you look at Facebook, people think the lottery pays for schools. I can tell you the lottery pays for 4% of the Chesterfield budget, a very small part. The lottery does not pay majority of school funding anywhere in Virginia. It's actually a very small amount. And one of the tricks they did when the lottery came in was they cut general funding at the state level to make up for what the lottery brought in. And the beauty of this sales tax is that's not the case. The case is that all the money goes to school construction. So we know where it's going. And it doesn't mean we shift other money away from school spending. So collaborate effectively, talk to your school board members, talk to your supervisors or your city council. Other PTAs though, so we're going to create and we are creating some cool graphics, some information that's Facebookable, Instagrammable, TikTokable, and we're putting that stuff out. And it's the same information anyone can use. So work with the other PTAs. Lauren made this point, but I think it's really important to make again. This is a hyper-local issue. So one of the things we're doing in Chesterfield is talking about what does this mean for your school? So I come from a regional governor school, and I can tell you the elevator was broken for many months last year. We had kids and teachers who couldn't use the stairs, and they couldn't go to class because the elevator was broken. That building itself is, over 50 years old. So it's in desperate need of repair, and there's no money for that. So these are real issues. What happens in your school, as Meta points out, you can say, hey, we need a new playgrounds. We need to clean the carpets in the library that haven't been touched for a decade. Your school, what your school needs. If the HVAC breaks down next week, you hope to be able to fix that. And even better, it would be great to have someone come in from maintenance and do the actual maintenance prior to it breaking down and save yourself several $1 million by having preventative maintenance done, which is not done now. So collaboration and clarity. So a lot of us are new officers, and sometimes the advocacy voice can get lost. We join the PTA to help our kid, to help our school. And the longer you're in the PTA, the more quickly you realize there's a systemic problem of underfunding schools in Virginia. That is a fact that is not debatable. Virginia funds less than other states. Virginia does not fund enough to give the kids the resources they need to reach their full potential. You can have absolute clarity that the PTA 100% supports the 1% local investment. You can say that out loud. You don't need to worry that you're going to get in trouble or anything like that. You are 100% welcome to pass a resolution in your PTA, just as I did last night. You can take the sample resolution, insert your school's name just to focus them on this. But you are completely covered by the Virginia PTA in terms of fully funding our schools, in terms of supporting the 1%. Just a quick reminder, we are nonpartisan, but that does not mean we're apolitical. We are a children's advocacy organization. Our number one mission is to make sure our kids have the resources they need. This falls beautifully and exactly into that category, and it's your opportunity to be loud, be proud, support the 1%, ask your members to support the 1%, ask your family members to support the 1%, ask the people in your community, your neighbors, to support the 1%. That's the only way it gets passed. And again, as Lauren mentioned, we've already got localities doing this, and to a locality, all the supervisors and superintendents I've talked to are ecstatic to have this. This has completely changed their schools in terms of being able to repair and construct and do the things they've needed to do for decades. So the proof of concept is already there, and that's actually why we all have the option now, because the Senate and the House in Virginia both said it's time to let people decide to pay for their own schools, and we're ready to do that. We hope you're ready to do that, and we think it's a great thing for everyone. All right, specific tools you can use. So if you feel like, where am I? How do I situate this contextually within the PTA? Again, the beauty is, I mentioned, we do have a 1% local sales tax referendum position statement. The Virginia PTA has passed. The Virginia PTA board has approved. So you can use that as a defensive statement if anyone questions why the PTA is trying to help schools or help children. If they don't know our mission, you've got this document to help you. This document also comes out of our document that we passed at the annual meeting that is focused on fully funding schools. And finally, as I mentioned, you can adopt a position statement within your own school as well if you want to put that final seal of approval from your school. It gives you an opportunity to talk about it. It gives you the opportunity to focus your efforts. And then again, you want to coordinate with your locality, your school district, other PTAs, other organizations, and then keep us in the loop. Keep the Virginia PTA in the loop. We're going to be producing information. We're happy to share your information. I know a lot of our PTAs produce some really cool stuff. And again, I would say, if you're going to produce some cool stuff, do it for your school. So we actually just met with the superintendent's office this week on Monday, and we talked about individual PTAs having the PTA kids talk about, what's wrong with your school, what needs to be fixed. They can point out, my son went to a middle school that has rusty trailers where he took Spanish class. And your school has these things too. So what's leaking, what water fountain doesn't work, what bathrooms don't work. Talk about that, and that really connects to parents and community. There's no denying these very real things. So share those stories. Look for us on Virginia PTA Facebook. If you're an officer, you're more than welcome to enter our very active Virginia PTA local leaders group. We should have a lot of good information there as well. And then we will also send out that template for you that you can use at your school. Finally, this all connects to your fantastic work as a Virginia PTA member. All of us who are members of our local units are, of course, members of the Virginia PTA and the National PTA. We ask you to show up in person just twice a year. 2 times a year, we ask you to show up in person. One is our Capital Day, also known as the Advocacy Day or PTA Day at the GA. And this is an opportunity to come in. You meet delegates, you meet senators. We're so popular, we met like 3/4 of the gubernatorial candidate. We had Jay Jones, Ghazal Hashmi, all these Virginia celebrities coming out to meet us. People love us. They love you. They love your kids. It's a great opportunity to come out. Lauren once said education is the last bipartisan issue. Everybody supports public education. Come out, come to Richmond, come to the Capitol Day. And meet people, meet your elected representatives. If you've already met them, even better. Come back again, talk to them more. But also, like Meta and Lauren and I will be there. All the cool people who support and love our public schools will be there as well. So we get to meet each other. And this is a great chance to talk about your actual needs, the concrete needs of your schools, which dovetail directly into everything we're advocating for as a state, as a Commonwealth, as a whole. And one of the things we want to keep in mind is, as you think about your immediate needs, also take a moment to think about your long-term needs. So when you're advocating for your school today, think about making sure that we have the strong funding in place so that your kid who goes to school tomorrow or next year still has a good teacher, high quality teacher in that classroom, still has a gym that's not leaking in the roof, that has a sports field that's usable. These are all things we all want for our kids, and none of this happens. And we've already run the experiment of what happens when you don't fund these things, and that's you get what we have now. So if you want to make a better tomorrow for the kids, think about that tomorrow. Think about those investments.
And that is going to be it for this presentation, but we do want you to reach out to us with any questions you may have. I'm available. You can reach me at the training@vapta.org address. I'm happy to chat more, get you connected with other people who want to know more about this issue. We'll make it happen because we are stronger together. So thank you for joining us for this, and we'll see you around.